Now, I'm a United States Senator. I'm also on the Appropriations Committee. I have influence over your budget, don't I?
You do, sir.
Now, let's suppose I tweet out, I'm really mad at Joe Blow, and I think the Justice Department ought to prosecute him. Do I have the right to do that under the First Amendment? I'm not asking you whether it's wise. Justice Crane, we elect judges in Louisiana, do we not?
We do.
And we have elected judges, our people have decided to elect judges for a long, long, long time, haven't they?
As long as I can research, yes.
Are you responsible for that system of choosing judges?
Not at all.
When you run for judge, can you solicit campaign contributions?
You cannot.
You've run 3 times.
I have.
Have you ever solicited a campaign contribution?
I have not.
You have to go through a committee, do you not?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, one of my colleagues, not Senator Welch, suggested that you live in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Is that true?
That is absolutely not true, Senator.
Do you live in anybody's left front pocket?
The only pocket I live in is the rule of law, Senator.
Welcome to Liberty Trigger. All right, folks, let's talk about what just went down in Congress. Because Senator John Kennedy just gave a masterclass in defending the rule of law, and the media completely ignored it. Now, this wasn't just political theater. This was one of those rare moments when someone in Washington actually said the quiet part out loud, that our justice system only survives if people still trust it. So here's what happened. During a judiciary hearing, Kennedy grilled judicial nominees about the idea of lawfare, meaning the political weaponization of the Justice Department. That's when justice stops being about facts and starts being about revenge. Mr. Duva, one of the nominees, said it straight. Lawfare happens when the DOJ becomes a political tool. And Kennedy, he zeroed in like a hawk. He said, you know, our judicial branch doesn't have an army. It only has legitimacy. Exactly. Once people stop believing the system is fair, game over. You don't get justice, you get chaos. Then Kennedy pulls a classic move.
And I think that my record reflects that.
It's certainly been my experience. I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Duva, you've heard the expression lawfare, have you not?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I think lawfare gets to the alleged weaponization of the Justice Department and things.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a term that's been used quite a bit. I think it means that the Justice Department becomes the tool of a sitting president or the Congress or whoever to do its bidding and that only, and not follow the law, not follow the facts as applied to the law. What we will do is not do that. We will do the converse of that.
Why is that dangerous?
Because it leads to bias, it leads to improper prosecution, it leads to messes in courtrooms. There's a reason there's a justice manual. There's a reason that there is Rule 6E.
I don't want to talk about the manual. I want to talk about just basic human decency and common sense.
It also erodes the faith of the justice system and our citizens.
Okay.
That is dangerous because it is based on those citizens where the end result, the citizens become jurors. And we need jurors to have confidence in the Justice Department and the prosecutions that it brings and to fairly evaluate cases.
Let me put it this way. Our judicial branch doesn't have an army, does it?
It does not.
Okay. Our judicial branch at the federal and the state level depends on its legitimacy for enforcement. I mean, people have to believe that justice, even though they may disagree with the result, people have to believe in the integrity of the system, do they not?
They do, because as I mentioned with jurors, if they don't and they're selected on a jury, they're not going to follow the judge's instructions to evaluate the cases based on the facts and the law. So it depends on the citizens to help us with the end result. And if that's eroded on the front end, it's eroded on the back end.
All right, if I'm a candidate for district attorney and I run for district attorney saying, if you elect me, people, I'm going to prosecute Joe Blow, a well-known political figure. Is that lawfare?
It is. That's inappropriate.
That undermines the integrity of the criminal justice system, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That suggests that justice isn't blind, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Now, look, nobody's blameless here. I remember when this nonsense started under President Biden. And I remember thinking, they have unleashed spirits they cannot control. This has got to stop. Now, I'm a United States Senator. I'm also on the Appropriations Committee. I have influence over your budget, don't I?
You do, sir.
Now, let's suppose I tweet out, I'm really mad at Joe Blow, and I think the Justice Department ought to prosecute him. Do I have the right to do that under the First Amendment? I'm not asking you whether it's wise. I'm asking you whether I have a right.
You do. You can tweet as long as it's nonviolent. You can tweet whatever thought you want.
You have the right to ignore me, don't you?
Absolutely.
All right, let me ask you about being a prosecutor. I've never been a prosecutor. As a prosecutor, you have a moral obligation to yourself and to the criminal justice system, not to bring a criminal prosecution unless you think the defendant is guilty. Is that accurate?
Yes, in the Justice Manual, you have to have the
I don't care
reasonable
about the manual.
probability
I'm
of
talking
conviction.
about common human decency. Is that correct?
Yes, you have to know you have it,
Is that a principle that you agree with?
100%.
Okay. And you not only have to believe that the defendant is guilty, you have to believe that you can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, do you not?
You do. You have to have the facts. Without the facts, you have nothing.
Okay. Is that a principle that you possess?
I do, and that's how I've operated for 18 years.
Okay. And you also have to believe, do you not, that the prosecution is in the public interest? Is that correct?
You do.
Okay. Now, if one of your superiors came to you, well, let me answer the question for you for how I would do it. If one of my superiors came to me and said, "Look, you got to prosecute this case," and I looked at it, and either I didn't believe that the defendant was guilty, or I didn't believe I could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, or I thought it was not in the public interest because it would undermine the integrity of the criminal justice system, I would resign.
You would, decline the matter.
Sir?
You would decline the matter for sure.
Right. And if they told me, if my superior said, "Look, Kennedy, what planet did you just parachute in from? You don't have a choice. I'm your boss. I'm telling you to do it," I would resign. How about you?
I have no problem doing that. I would first just say, we're not doing this case, and here's all the reasons, and the discussion could go from there.
Okay. And if you were told to do it or quit, what would you do?
I'd quit.
Okay. Would you ever advise a client not to follow a federal court order?
No, sir.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you not qualifying it. If it's okay to disagree with a federal judge ruling, isn't it?
I often have.
Yep. It's okay to appeal it
Absolutely. We have an appellate section. It's one of the best sections in the criminal division.
within the bounds of legal ethics. It's okay to criticize it, isn't it?
Yes, internally.
But you got to follow it, don't you?
You do, absolutely.
Because that's called the rule of law, isn't it?
It is, and without that, you have anarchy and no confidence in the Justice Department.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the frank answers.
Thank you.
He asks,
I think that my record
suppose I
reflects
tweet that
that.
I'm mad
It's
at Joe
certainly been
Blow
my
and the
experience.
DOJ
I
should
just wanted to
prosecute.
clear that up.
Do I have a
Thank you,
First
Senator.
Amendment right to say that? And the witness says, yes.
Mr.
Kennedy goes,
Duva,
good.
you've heard
You
the
also have a
expression
right to ignore
lawfare,
me,
have
right?
you not?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
What does that mean to you?
That's how America works. Politicians
Well,
can yell
I think lawfare
all
gets
they
to
want.
the
Prosecutors follow
alleged
the evidence.
weaponization of the
You know what
Justice
that's
Department
called?
and
The rule of
What
law.
does that mean?
And it's disappearing fast.
Well, it's a term that's
Then
been used
Kennedy
quite a bit.
drops
I
the
think it
moral
means
hammer.
that the
He
Justice
says,
Department becomes
a
the
real
tool of
prosecutor
the sitting
should only
president
bring
or,
charges if three things
the
are
Congress
true.
or whoever
Keycap
to do
1,
its
you believe the
bidding
person's actually
and
guilty.
that only,
Keycap
and
2,
not
you can
follow
prove
the
it
law,
beyond a reasonable doubt.
not follow the facts
Keycap
as applied to the
3,
law.
it's in the public
What we will
interest.
do is
And you
not
know what
do
Mr.
that. We will
Duva
do the
said?
converse of
His
that.
Why is
boss
that
ordered him to
dangerous?
prosecute a case that failed
Because
those tests.
it-
He'd quit.
It
That's
leads
integrity.
to bias.
That's how
it
it
leads
used
to
to be
improper
done.
prosecution.
Now compare
it
that to what
leads
we
to
see today.
messes in courtrooms.
Endless
There's a
politically
reason there's a
motivated
justice
cases.
manual.
Selective
There's a
enforcement
reason that
and
there
zero
is
accountability.
Rule 6E.
Then Kennedy
I don't want to
closed
talk
with
about the
this.
manual. I want to
And
talk
this is
about
why
just
the clip's
basic
going viral.
human
He said,
decency and
sure,
common sense.
you can disagree with judges.
It also
You can
erodes
appeal.
the faith of the
You can
justice system
criticize.
and our citizens.
But you still have to follow the
that,
ruling.
that is dangerous
Because the
because
second
it
you
is
start
based on
ignoring
those
court
citizens
orders,
where the
you
end
don't have
result,
freedom anymore.
The
You
citizens
have
become
anarchy.
jurors.
That's it.
And we need
That's the
jurors
whole
to have
ballgame.
confidence
So, yeah,
in the Justice Department.
Senator
and
John
the
Kennedy
prosecutions
just
that it
reminded the
brings
country
and to fairly
what Washington
evaluate
forgot.
cases.
Let me put it
That
this
justice
way.
isn't
Our
a political
judicial
weapon.
branch doesn't have an
It's
army,
the glue
does
that
it?
holds this
It does
nation
not.
together.
Okay.
And when the left
Our
or the
judicial
right
branch at
tries
the
to
federal
twist
and
the
the state
power,
level
we all lose. That's why this
depends
moment
on
matters. Because one
its
senator stood up and
legitimacy.
said, enough. And in a city drowning
for
in
enforcement.
politics,
I mean, people
someone finally
have to
defended
believe
principle.
that
If you
justice, even
still
though they may
believe in
disagree
facts
with the
over
result,
feelings,
people
justice
have
over
to believe in the
politics,
integrity of the
smash that
system,
like
do they
button.
not?
Share
They
this
do,
video
because
and
as I
subscribe.
mentioned with jurors,
Because
if
the
they
Constitution
don't
is
and they're
optional.
selected on a
And
jury,
it's
they're
time
not
someone
going to
said it out
follow the
loud.
judge's
I'm Liberty
instructions to
Trigger.
evaluate the
Stay
cases
sharp,
based on the
stay
facts and the
free,
law.
and God
So it
bless
depends
America.
on the citizen.